are quite ambitious bunch. My partner and I, we want to do everything. We want to start a bank, we want to build a car, we want to build a school, because we want to build it the way we see it. Similar to how we've built Marvin. It's our world.
His inner strength is something that completely blows my mind. I know for sure that he is going to be one of the biggest influencers in the creative industries, for sure, for sure.
Whatever it is that you want to do it, no matter how crazy people think it is.
I'm living my dream because of George today, and I'm so happy. I'm very grateful, and I couldn't be more grateful.
Okay. But thanks for being involved. Yeah, where have you been? George has taught me not to give up on people. Like, he hasn't said it outright, but in our fights, in our disagreements, he's always picked up the phone to say, "My man, I'm sorry. I love you. Let's carry on."
Men are important. And the men, if you don't take care of that dialogue, the people who get affected mostly is the women and children.
He's influenced a lot of things, like from the way I dress to the music that I listen to.
I would say we need more role models, so he plays a bigger role in that. We need someone to look up to, and he's on the right track.
If you fail at starting a bank, your failure is a card, and that on its own is a win. If you fail at building a car, chances are you're gonna build a bike, and that on its own, it's a win.
This is my world. Yeah. This is my world. Yeah. I'm like, welcome to my world. Hlala phansi ngikubonisa ukuthi kwenzakalani mina in my world. Ngiyachilla ngixoxa with my boys. Uthola ukurilaxa with my girls. Ukhalesa Mr. ngiyazenzela ngine freedom. It's my world. Yeah. This is my world.
I dream big. I don't hold myself back. I want it all, and I'm coming for everything. Because right now I feel like a king whose throne was stolen from him, and he's coming for it. I was born in Pretoria. I grew up in Alex. I grew up at 12th Avenue. It's opposite the engine garage. Now it's called Shangri-La. I was the firstborn, obviously, for my parents. I was very naughty. I got away with a lot of murder. I was spoiled, obviously, for the first 7 years because my brother was not there. My uncles would buy me presents month end. I'd lose them. I believe I had a really, really great childhood. It was filled with fun, being naughty, hidings, especially for my mom. Like, I was always like quiet. I was like a tiny guy. I looked weird. I looked like a girl most of the time. And I'm sure my dad thought I was gay, maybe. Like, I was very, like, I had like knock knees. Like, I literally looked like a girl, you know? And also, even if, like, let's say we're starting to date and you like, I'm like, I can give you 1 hour a day.
Like when?
No, but in the beginning, you're gonna be like, that's fine. Like, sharp, I can deal with that.
I guess.
Because I could give honeymoon stage.
Yeah.
Then she decides like, wait, 1 hour is not enough.
No, this guy is playing games.
I need 3 hours.
Yeah.
And she doesn't let you know because now she's changed it to 3 hours. When you're like, okay, I'm still on.
So she subliminally sneaks it in. Like, babe, I should bring dinner. George, we were born in the same year. At some point, obviously, you know, the grandmother's house is like the touch point growing up. So we literally grew up together. He's like my brother. We're siblings. So we do go way back. We know each other through and through.
We had like the childhood where, you know, holidays, we spend time together. But where we got very close it was when I started working. And she would be like, this is my cousin, he's talented. Like she saw me to her network, you know, because I didn't have that kind of network. And she knows everyone, you know. And she's the one that brought me into that network. And like, this is my cousin, like, hey, what you doing? Oh, I'm just chilling at home. Like, no, come to David Kau's house, we're just chilling, we're doing that. And this is where you would start to interact with different people who are not within your circle. So she just introduced me into that world. And since then, Jay, we just clicked, you know.
I've got like 5 friends who are like, Mon, I put Ukjola aside. It's on pause until next year. Because we're here, we're pushing.
George, as a child, relatively ntatengwana. You know, like he was a quiet, silent storm, quite an introvert, quite a thinker. He wasn't like a loud wakanga. You know, he was a normal township guy getting up to mischief, but he was always like a bit recluse, a gentleman, you know? Very sweet spirit.
We become that Bonnie and Clyde of the family, you know? Like, you can't come to me and badmouth Maishi. Like, that's not gonna happen. And you can't come to her and badmouth me, you know? Like, we have that relationship going on. I don't know where it comes from, but it just works, you know?
Razon kren, mafethu.
I'm this Prince Speed of Sabange.
Marvin is a friend of mine.
He kind of like dropped a hint about Marvin. I mean, by the time he dropped it and I woke up, I was like, whoa.
Oh, this is my world. Oh, this is my world.
The more you do is the more you believe. I didn't wake up and just believe these things. I wake up and do one thing, then I see it happens, then I do the next thing, then I see it happen. By the time I get to the 50th thing, you can't tell me that I can't build a plane. Because I saw that I could build a bike. And I did it. Like, I wake up every morning and like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know what I'm doing. I just know that I wanna build a car. I don't know how, I don't know with whom, I don't have the money to build it, but we'll start at A. And what does that A say? If it means, let's say, we design a car, we'll figure out how to design a car. And I'm not scared to call someone and say, can you help me with that? The worst thing they can say is to say no. And if they say no, it doesn't mean that I'm gonna stop. It means I wanna get to the next guy. Someone will help me. And when they do, I'm gonna change the world.
Marvin it's more focused on men. The perspective is from a man, So the magazine functions as one portal, but the portal comes and sort of represents about like the rest of the country when it comes to men.
Marvin is a friend of mine, but he is.
He kind of like dropped a hint about Marvin. I mean, by the time he dropped it and I woke up, I was like, whoa, what is this? You know, who's this guy? It blew my mind.
I came up with an idea for a magazine in 2010 called Modern Man, which was a terrible name. And I had a lot of questions as a man. Like, how do I deal with the woman who earns more than me? What if I don't have a car and she has a car? How do I still become a man within that?
This is so profound because that is exactly what Marvin is. I think Marvin is his therapy. I think Marvin is like, this is the guy that's gonna answer all the questions that I have. And also for any guy who's out there who's young, who never had a dad to answer those questions, Marvin is that guy.
Then I bumped into this guy. His name is Marvin. And he answered most of my questions, even without me asking them. He's like, no, don't do that. No, you'll get over that. Money, you lose it, you gain it. All that, you must follow your dreams. You must, he answered a lot of questions that I didn't have to ask, but just by conversation. And we were like, why not call it Marvin?
Marvin is in people's homes, dude. Do you know what I mean? Like, people print out our articles and they staple to make a book out of all the conversations that we have. Marvin is probably the next best father to a fatherless son.
I understand it, I can actually follow it, and I can relate to it. Whatever he's going to do with it, it's easier for me to just follow all the articles, because I feel at home in it.
There's always a need for content. Marvin is the 4th magazine I've started. So that means I had 3 other magazines before that. There was a magazine called Culture Shock. And there was there is still a magazine called Studio 83. I think Studio 83 was probably one of the first online publication in this country. And I always create magazines that speaks to me and my friends, the issues that we have or the solutions. So Studio 83, I was like 22 when I created that. Then obviously with growth, you evolve,
Oh, great.
I
No, congrats on that KFM thing, yo.
No, thanks, man.
No, we're coming for everything, indeed.
When I grew up, that's when I learned.
Now when I grow up, I want to just be like you, man. Sure, it.
Yo.
How you doing?
I'm so tired, dude. I'm very tired.
Are you fragile?
Yeah. How's everything going?
No, everything is good.
We need an extra chair.
Yeah. We ready for Marvin's? You speaking tonight, eh? Both of us.
I'm so tired.
No, that's fine. There's a couch there.
George and I have known each other for quite some time. When I moved here, he was still doing Studio 83. I got the opportunity of going with a friend to one of his shoots. I was so intrigued by what he was doing that I took down his numbers and we started chatting from there.
I remember Legend when we met. I liked his vibe. There was something about him that I could relate to, but I didn't know what it was.
I'd never met somebody who was so crazy about online stuff. Like, he lived on the internet. All his things, all the things that he produced, the efforts on his photo shoots or his photo sets were kind of sick. So I was like, geez, is this all just for the internet?
Life happens. Then we came back together and he was like, this thing is very important, you know, Marvin is very important, let's do it. And we started slowly, started with Instagram, just trying to find the tone of who's this guy, what does he do? Then it just grew, you know. Then obviously we partners.
My biggest thing with those brands is that they are doing things that, and as I said in Durban, they're doing things that we don't have to do in the future.
Yeah.
So they're breaking ground for us to actually take their place one day, or whatever it is. Yeah. And people like Kenna Media are a part of the story. Because what they did for us is like...
It's amazing.
Hectic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's intense.
We talk a lot, and we talk about things that I don't think we also share with everyone, you know, and we interrogate everything from ancestors to money, to relationships, to love, to the love that we have for each other as men.
Those are obvious things, and we owe a lot of people a lot of things. But we just got a thing now. So basically, what we do is we curate content and we curate things that men would like to see, like to talk about. I can go as far as to say that we're trying to create a voice for men.
I have an interesting relationship, not interesting really. He's a guy that I look up to. Andy Lugumali spoke here a couple of years ago. We've had that friendship for a while. And I was like, I need a voice on radio. And he's like, okay, speak to this person, speak to that person, make it happen. You know what I'm saying? Okay, now jump. Easy. Umbonile mfethu umuntu ushaya Instagram pictures kanjani? Umbonile.
Ngiyalimaza akekho ku Instagram phela lo.
Ngizokusendela ungawazi.
Wasavile. You saved my pictures.
Ngizokusendela uthamo. Screen grab uthamo ungawazi uthamo. Mina ngizokufaka mina.
We are indeed. It's a Thursday, and what we like to do around this time on a Thursday is have our Marvin conversations. And this time around, we have George, of course, is in the studio with us, Gladwin Matsheke. And we're going to be speaking to Vus Ngande, who is joining us on the line. We thought he would be in the studio with us. We're very sad that he's not in the studio with us. We were quite excited. But what we're talking about this time around, and I'll let him outline because it's based on something that he was pouring out, things that he was thinking and musing over, is the fallacy of not all men. Yeah. And I think if you're a woman, you would understand exactly what we're talking about. Situation where we observe so many injustices in society that, you know, men are behind. And then you find a whole chorus of men that say, but my sister, not all men, you know, not all men are abusive, not all men rape, not all men this, not all men that. So we're talking about that. But I'll let Vus outline just the gist of what he covered in his article, available on marvin.co.za.
I say like something even like emotional abuse. Most of us have done it, and we, when you realize that you've been doing it, at that time you didn't do it because that was your intention, but it's because of how you're raised and all. And when a guy says not all men, I believe that's a very coward way. They're removing themselves from the problem.
Yeah.
It was the first death that I had to deal with. That was that close.
He assumed position and took responsibility of being the elder in the family.
It was quite painful. It was very painful to watch.
Oh, this is my world. Oh, this is my world.
For a very long time, I felt overlooked. I felt that my bus left, or my train left. There's nothing more discouraging than seeing people succeed. Even when people around you have written you off. And they look at you, they're like, you're not gonna be better than what you are. And at that time, you're at your lowest. And people around you, your so-called friends or people who you're chilling with, and they're saying that you won't be better than what you are right now. There's nothing more discouraging, more disheartening than that. He's my brother. We've had our own back and forth, and I've always protected him. I don't know if that's what everybody does, who's older towards the younger one, but I've always protected him from outside danger, from life, from the lessons that I've learned.
He's been a role model, and I'm not a person who would accept a role model, but secretly, like subconsciously, I know he's influenced a lot of things, like from the way I dress to the music that I listen to.
He's very talented. I think I always tell him that he's actually much more talented than I am, because I think of how he's built, and his mind runs quicker than I am.
The minute people relate to what you are doing, you don't even have to sell yourself, because people understand you. They understand where you're coming from, because you are literally a reflection of who they are. So that's the biggest thing that he has taught me till today. And I don't think that he takes that as serious as he actually should.
Now more than ever we're close. There was a period of time where he would frustrate me because he wouldn't see things from my perspective.
I don't like being told what to do, and he tries to tell. I'm very stubborn. I get that from my mother. And he's the more calm one. I'm the impulsive one. I'm the walk out of the room guy situation. And he'll be there like, where guy? I'm like, Avaya.
But now when I think about it, it was quite unfair, because he was not old enough to understand how the world works. He was young and needed to be young. And I was always impatient with him.
Like, I've been living in my brother's shadow for so many years, eh? Ever since I was like, not even 15. Ever since I was literally in primary school, like when I was 7, they were like, yeah, George's brother. Till today, people still call me George's brother. It's so irritating, you don't understand. And I look exactly like this guy. Like my aunt this one time thought she was talking to me, and she was talking to him. I walked in, she was so freaked out. She was like, wait, what's happening? Do you understand?
I have a story to tell. Maybe let me take this thing out. And I'll start with my father, actually, with my story. Because my dad, I think my dad was weird a bit. Because he was that dad who was too involved in the community, or kustrati, you know? He had his own business, obviously, so he spent more time at home, so he knew what was happening. So, being the son of a father who's too involved, you can imagine my life. But my dad contributed a lot to who I am today.
George and his dad's relationship was the cutest in life. There's so many stories of like the broken home, particularly in the township. Dad is not there, or he's a drunk. My uncle was very involved in his life, like always in his back. Like, have you done your homework? What's happening with you? What are you wearing? Like, where are you going? Who's that boy that you're with? They were very, very close.
I'm an entrepreneur now, and it's because I saw him become an entrepreneur and following his dreams, and that's what I did. When my dad passed on, I was 18. I just been appointed to be a prefect. I didn't know what was going on, you know. It was the first death that I had to deal with. That was that close.
And the realization that now, okay, so this is me. All that stuff that Dad was talking about, I thought I'd be at least in my 30s, 40s before I assumed the responsibility of being the head of the house. And it's happening now, and I need guidance, you know? It was quite painful. It was very painful to watch.
It hit him in a particular way, because now it was just a thing I lost my father. you understand? I lost my father. My father's no longer there.
I felt alone. I had to grow up very quickly. I had to be a man, even though I was not ready to be a man. But I had to be a man. I had to be a husband. I had to be a father. And I didn't have the opportunity to be a teenager, because of the situation.
And he was young, and also like at a very, very vulnerable stage as a young growing man who was getting to a space where he needed answers about a lot of things,
So I blamed him for a very long time that he could afford. But the older you get, then you understand that it doesn't actually work like that,
A human being's capacity to handle trauma. Like to handle trauma. Like his inner strength is something that like completely blows my mind.
I don't know how I feel about this resilient thing. I've always known that I'm resilient. And the time where my resilience got tested, it was last year. Last year I lost everything. I lost it all. I don't know how I made it through last year. I think a lot of people would have lost it if they went through what I went through last year. So actually, the journey started in 2014, where I lost my paternal grandmother, Mama Matsheke. When she passed on, I took a knock. I think it was 5 months later, I lost my mother. I think like losing my mother was the hardest thing I've ever experienced in my entire life. And it was the most unfair thing I've experienced in my entire life. Because I was not given the opportunity to mourn. That entire week, I had to cry in between drives, going to the mortuary, going to sort out her funeral, going to take out money, going to buy food. Like, I had to cry in between drives. I didn't feel like I had to postpone my mourning of my mother. She passed on Saturday. I had to put her funeral together. And I had to wait for the funeral to end for me to start mourning my mother. I think that is the most unfair thing I went through in my entire life.
Yeah, he was numb, He was numb. It was like, this is happening, but also, again, he's got this switch. Like, now you must plan a funeral, my guy. Like, now you must okay, so you've got 2 younger siblings. You guys are now orphaned. Octavia's still in school. She's the last born. It's not about you. So he just kicks into what needs to be done mode.
I don't know who to blame. I don't know. But I'm hoping one day I'd come up with answers that make sense of that situation. But if ever there's a situation that I don't understand as an adult right now, it's that situation.
I was so happy. I probably could have taken a flight all the way to Tahiti and came back. That's how happy I was.
I've always wanted to do graphic design. I think in my matric year I would collect flyers. I'm like, this is what I want to do.
Oh, this is my world. Oh, this is my world.
If you don't know who you are, it's impossible for you to take over the world. Because that means that anything can blow you, whether it's fame, whether it's money. You need to understand who you are and stand by it. Then you can be able to take over the world.
From Simunya, we are one. It says, to Yamampela.
Yeah.
Which Yamampela?
This is the real thing.
Yamampela means real. We're gonna try to do what the SABC wants, to try to accommodate everybody. So there's gonna be part of me. There's gonna be part of Odysseus. There's gonna be part of Michelle. So that already, I think, is working to our advantage because we got 3 strong people to work with. You know what I mean?
I've always wanted to do graphic design. I think in my matric year I would collect flyers. I'm like, this is what I want to do. And Kagiso was already doing graphic design. So I asked him, what is this graphic design thing? And he said it does this. I'm like, okay, that's what I want to do, you know. So if I didn't have that conversation with him, I don't think I would have done graphic design.
There's a big speech bubble, which represents us as a nation. And there's like, within that speech bubble, there's other speech bubbles. And if you can count, there's 12 speech bubbles, which represents the 11 official languages. This one, which is white, the speech bubbles, it represents the sign language, which is the silent language. That's the reason why we put it into our concept. So you can check that this chick, she represents the future, you know? Because when I have kids, I don't want them to look at the next black person as Zulu or Tswana or whatever. I want them to look at them as like, oh, that's Tabo, oh, that's Michelle.
I remember there was an ad on YFM that said, if you want to do graphic design, animation, blah, 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 write an essay. And I did that. I remember writing an essay. I wrote the essay over 3 days. Obviously, you write the story, figure out the direction, edit it, then edit it again, then get an envelope, put in your artwork. I remember going to Rosebank on the last day of the competition ending. And I had like about 750 to my name. So I had to decide, either I take a taxi to Rosebank, walk back, or walk to Rosebank and take a taxi coming back. So I decided to take a taxi.
I remember, obviously you're fresh, they would call you to like, you got the scholarship, and that period went and passed, and there was something inside of me that said, there's no way that scholarship is not yours. I don't know where that voice came from, but it was there.
Then on the 14th of Feb, obviously I remember because it's Valentine, I get a call from YFM, but I'm half asleep. And it's like, we're looking for George. And like, I'm half asleep at the time. Like, you've got the scholarship to go to Boston. I'm like, okay, thank you. Like, what? You gotta be kidding me. I lost my mind. I didn't even bath that day. I just put on my clothes. I was like, and I took some money to go to Boston Media House, which was in Rivonia at the time. And I remember I called my mother's work.
So I tell the lady at the reception that, tell her that her son is going to school. I got the scholarship. So as she comes in, they start singing God is great. So she's like, what's going on, blah, blah, blah.
And somebody tells her that Gladwin got a scholarship, he's going to school. She just like cried, you know, and she's like, she told me that it was one of the best moments in her life, you know, and that's how I got the scholarship. And thanks to DJ Fresh, I'm a man of ambitions and dreams, you know.
So we just finished with Mpo telling us about respect. So the next person that we have is George Gladwin Matsheke. Very inspirational guy. He's going to tell you guys a whole lot of things that you need to know that's going to inspire you, aspire you, want to do better in the world. Okay, so welcome George. Thank you.
Good day everyone. Yeah, my name is George Gladwin Matsheke. Apparently I'm here to inspire you guys. I don't know how to do it. But I'll just tell you a story about myself, about how I got to where I am. You need to dream as big as possible, because dreams can happen and are happening. They might not happen when you want them to, they might not happen when you expect them to, but they require a lot of work, a lot of taking risks, a lot of belief.
I would say we need more role models, so he plays a bigger role in that. We need someone to look up to, and he's on the right track. For the young ones who actually are coming and looking to see something great, I guess that's the way to go. You know, because if you follow him, I guess you will be inspired.
I remember when I started my first magazine, I moved out of home. All I had was my machine. I didn't even have a bed. So basically I would work lying down on my stomach just designing a magazine. You can imagine how uncomfortable that is, but the thing is I still was pushed by the dream that I want to have a magazine and have content and tell my story. Mbuyisela's story is quite interesting. We went to DJ Fresh's birthday last year. We took a cake on his birthday. It was me and Pure Matebola, who's also another recipient of the DJ Fresh scholarship. We presented a cake saying thank you for educating us. They interview us about what we're doing, what's happening. Then while we're outside during an ad break, I'm like, yo, I want to take kids to school, you know? How can you help? He's like, okay, cool. I got a budget. I can give you a piece of the budget and, you know, just to start you off. Let me know what you want to do. I'm like, okay, cool, sure.
My sister Tina spoke to him, and then he called me directly after to send my details. So I sent him my details.
I went to primary school with Tina. So Tina on Facebook, she's like, yo, this is my story. Please, can you advise? She's passionate about animation, don't have the money, who can we talk to? Because we've registered, but we know that we can't afford it. So I was like, hey, hold on. Let me make a couple of calls.
Well, I actually met him the day he came to my house to tell me about the birthday. And the day I met him, I told him I was about to get a heart attack because I thought he was lying. And I thought it was all jokes, but it was nothing like that.
And I remember calling her. Actually, I was running when I called her. And I was like, you got a scholarship. You want to go to school? And she didn't believe me and stuff. I had to go to her place and be like, you know, explain that it's not a prank. This is where it comes from.
The bursary is about animation. I've always wanted to study animation. So I didn't have an opportunity to do it. So I stayed home for about 2 years. And as soon as he found out about it, he helped me and I was happy.
Because I know that that moment or that event in my life changed everything. Because if it wasn't for that opportunity and the scholarship, I don't know where would I'd be right now. You know, it gave me a lot of confidence, it gave me a lot of opportunity, and it just changed everything for me. You know, so I always wanted to do it for the next person because personally I know the experience personally how it can change your life. You know, men are important, and the men, if you don't take care of that dialogue, the people who get affected mostly is the women and children.
Well, this is my world. Well, this is my world.
Good morning, guys. My name is Gladwin Matsheke. I own a men's magazine called Marvin. And that's where we speak about men's issues, what we go through. And mostly even the conversations, we include women because we deal more about conversations than anything else because we want to learn more about women. Men are important. And the men, if you don't take care of that dialogue, the people who get affected mostly is the women and children. So we as men, we need to be able to have conversation and say, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. Deal with it this way so that we can save the women and children.
The reason, obviously, of doing these talks is for us to have more conversation and understand men better.
Through Marvin, we've been able to sort of get this network of men, get this network of women who want to understand men better.
I always say it's very, very important for men to be involved in their kids. And men don't get involved in their kids because they don't think that they're important. If we're in a relationship and you tell me for 3 years that we don't need you, at some point I'm gonna believe you.
The relationship with the mother, and the mother, to your point, you're always saying, we don't need you.
Yeah.
My kids and I will be fine. We'll be just fine without you. A guy
He's gonna believe it. As
like, okay, sure, sharp, see you.
Yeah, we're going to Kenya Media. So there's a project that they want to bring back called Cool and Black. There's a project that they want to do called Cool and Black, which is a black professional directory. I designed it a couple of years ago and it did well. So they want to bring it back. And obviously I'm the guy for magazines is my thing, you know? So I'm gonna meet with them to talk about that, the strategy, and what we're gonna be doing and when we're gonna launching it, you know? Is Tiro here? Where are we meeting? Come. Okay. All right, cool. Should I just go in there?
Yeah, can I offer you something to drink?
Can I please have coffee? 2 sugars. Yeah. Thank you. Oh, man.
How are you guys?
How you doing? Glenn.
No, easy.
Easy. Yeah, man.
What's up?
Cool and Black. Cool and Black is coming back. So obviously I did the first one in the beginning and now it's gonna come back. And obviously a strategy of it coming back needs to make sense with everything, you know? You come to Marvin's room tonight.
Is it tonight?
Tonight.
Yeah.
You'll end up there. You'll end up there.
As the brand grows, Marvin was getting a lot of attention from brands, and a lot of brands started wanting to do business with us. We started with the website. We wrote there, we put up the content. Then the next entity we had to build was Marvin's Room. Marvin's Room is a place where we engage. The people online are on, you can see them, you can meet them, the music and everything.
Marvin's Room, the essence of it comes from party people. It's just, that's where the essence, because I love party people, the music, the people, the vibe, the family unit of it. And it happens once a month. Now we did one in Durban and we got a call from Cape Town. They also want their Marvin's Room. So we have Marvin's Room, which is an event. We talk, we drink, there's good music, good people, you conversate.
My name is George Matsheke. Welcome to Marvin's Room. Thank you very much for making your time to come and see us and celebrate Marvin's Room like we usually do every month.
It's dreams and just making dreams happen, you know, making things possible and actually asking for what you want, and obviously working hard for what you want, because none of this came about easily. It's all relationships, it's all failing, being disappointed.
I know for sure that he is going to be one of the biggest influencers in the creative industries, for sure, for sure.
I'm hoping to see greater things beyond what we're actually witnessing right now. You know, he's the good candidate to actually do that. We kind of need him to do as good as he does, and I'm hoping to see that, to see him achieve even more, so that we can actually, I don't know, celebrate.
You know, the Marvin brand is going to live in so many different spaces, in fashion, in events, and you know, in music. It's amazing. I mean, even like the mixtapes, for example, are like a standalone thing. Like the Marvin mixtapes is something I look forward to personally.
I think George is a great offering. I think there's God in George, and yeah, man, I really think that he's a big brother. He's a prayer come true. Yeah, I think, you know, he's a scatterbrain.
I just want to live a full life. I just want to be happy. And when I say happy, I want to work on the things that I want to work on. I want to drive when I feel like driving. I want to travel when I feel like traveling. Go on holiday without thinking about how much it costs. You know, I want to have a private jet if I want to have a private jet. If I want to take a walk in the hood, 10 years from now, let me do it. You know, even though I have a car, I just want to do what I want to do.